right, so for this video, I'm going to talk about the general form of a circle. So the general form of a circle comes from when you actually take the standard form. So if you remember, standard form is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And if you multiply everything out, it'll produce the general form. So technically, if I have x minus h, whatever number that may be, and I have plus, whoops, so it'll be x minus h, since it's squared, we write it twice, plus y minus k, that would be multiplied twice, and that equals r squared. And eventually what I would do is I'd multiply this out and get a trinomial with the x's, then I'd multiply this out and get a trinomial, and then everything together is going to produce the general form. Now what we're going to focus on is actually doing the general form, and we're going to use Desmos. So my recommendation, because you're going to need to actually count units, is to go change some settings. So in your calculator, you're going to go to the top where the little wrench is, and you're going to click there to find the settings. Now, in this area where it says X and Y, you're going to change the step option. So you're going to make it 1 unit. So the step means how many units per chunk per step. So we're going to change that to 1 and 1. Now, it's completely up to you, but I think it's easier to see. I turn off the minor grid line, so you just unclick right here. And then once you have that, you have a screen that you can easily count stuff with. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at, it says find the center and the radius of the circle. So I've already got these plugged into Desmos to make this a little bit easier, but you would type this just like you see it, and it equals 0 into your calculator. So you're going to go to Desmos, and I'm going to turn on number 1, which I have the equation already typed in. So for this one right here, I can see that I should have my center located at -2, 3, and I can type that in if I want to. So -2, 3, and I can see that center. And I can see that it's going to be 1 unit from the center to the outside in any direction. So my center is -2, 3 with a radius of 1. Now, if there were ever a situation where you had partial units, like you see this says 2 square roots of 3. So if I go back to Desmos and I put in 2 square roots of 3, I can see that that's going to be about 3.5 units. So if it was 3.5 units, it would have to go 1, 2, 3, and about right here, about halfway for the outside of the circle, which obviously is not correct. So just keep in mind, you can always type in the 2 square roots of 3 in order to check out those values. All right, so for number 2, so this one says find the equation that has this center and a radius of 5. So technically what I can do is I can put all of these in, I can check the center, and then make sure it has a radius of 5. So I'm going to go back to Desmos, and I'm going to put in the center of -4 and 3. Let me check to make sure that's correct. Oh, that's actually the opposite. So 4 and -3. So if I come to number 2, I can see all these graphs happening here. So I'm going to pull them all down. There's all of them. So here's my center of the point that I just plotted. So the black one, that one's gone. That's not a center. You can see that the purple one, that's not a center. So the only ones that is a center is going to be the green and the red for mine, which is A and B. So I need to figure out which one has 5 units. So from the center, I have 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units, 5 units, which puts me on just the red circle, which is C. Okay. And you can also do a lot of this with the standard form too. It's just with standard form, you can actually see the center and the radius from the equation. All right, so for number 3, they give us another standard form of a circle, and they want to know which of these statements is true. So we have the center, and we have a radius of 2 and 4. So if I have a radius of 2 and 4, I'm going to turn those back off, and I'm going to look at number 3. So there's my equation. I should be able to see that my center is located at -5 and 1. And if you think that you've got the right center and then you plot it and it's not correct, like let's say you put 2, you can obviously see that's not the center. So the center is at -5, 1, and from there to the outside, it's 1, 2 units. So -5, 1, and 2 units is going to be A. All right, for number 4, it says, given this equation, what is the radius of the circle? So again, I would put that in Desmos. So let me turn off number 3, and let's look at number 4. All right, so there's a couple ways you can do that. You can find the center, estimate where you think the center is, which it looks like it's about at 2, 4, and then count the spaces. Or I know that the radius is half of the diameter. So if I go from one end to the other, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So half of 12 is going to be 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That does put me at 2, 4 as my center. So if I just kind of want to look at that visually, there's my center, and I can see that it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as my radius. So I would do the diameter and then just divide the diameter in half. So for this one in Desmos, I found the diameter was 12, and then I just divided that 12 by 2. All right, so for this one, we're going to be doing some graph matching. So it says which one of the standard form equations is represented by this general form. So if I type this in and I type in the actual answer choices, there's going to be one that graph matches. So for this one, we're going to graph match each answer choice and see which one actually works. Okay. So as I do that, I'm going to go, I actually already have those put in. So for number 5, I have my original. There's my original. So let me erase or clear that out. So there's my original. So I'm going to turn on A. Obviously A doesn't match. Then there's B. B doesn't match. C is actually has the same center. We can see that, but that doesn't match. So the only one that matches, and actually I'm going to change this to a different color so we can see it clearly. That one's in red. If I turn it off, I can see the one underneath it is blue. So graph matching, the answer is D. All right, and then the last one says, what is the length of the radius? So again, I'm going to find the diameter. And once I graph this in Desmos and I find the diameter, then I can divide the diameter in half. So the radius is going to be the diameter divided by 2. So I'm going to look for the diameter. And I'll turn this one on. I can see the diameter is 1, 2, 3, 4 units. And because the diameter is 4 units, that means that the radius has to be 2 units. So 4 divided by 2 gives me a radius of 2. So just as just a quick video on the general form, because everything that you're going to do for general form, you're going to do it with Desmos.